Paul has said, I'm struggling so much with sciatica, I can't form a hip hinge or squat. How do you work through the sciatica? It has been caused by herniated disc. Paul, that's literally what, how do you work through the sciatica? You're not working through the sciatica. So if your sciatica is a baseline, let's say the sciatica symptoms are a baseline level of 3 out of 10 all the time. Look at what you're doing every day in spite of that. You're already doing lots of things in spite of the sciatic pain. So acknowledging that is like, okay, well, you can do your rehab in spite of the sciatic pain as well. But you want to also know what can aggravate and make it go from a 3 to a 7, right? I'm certain that you'll have some things that you know you can do that make it go from a 3 to a 7. So if you're doing your exercises, you are making sure that they are aggravation free. So if you come into the exercise and you're at 3 out of 10 and you do the exercise and it's still a 3 out of 10 and you finish the exercise and it's still a 3 out of 10, that's fine. That would be aggravation free. Now the question is it correct choreography? If you got aggravation later in the day, that's irrelevant, right? Because you have to evaluate this in the context of your daily fluctuation. So with this sort of scenario, we're probably suffering quite a lot. And so we have flare-ups from here, there, and everywhere. We don't know what's happening. So if you get a flare-up like 3 hours after doing your exercises, but your exercises were aggravation-free, look at everything else you're doing. Don't be hyperly critical of the exercises, especially if we've done them properly, and we've been recording them, and we've been doing things like our members do, right? You focus on what you're doing from a technical standpoint, etc. How does this help you if you have a herniated disc? Specifically, how is it changing your body? It works in a couple of ways. So it's also important to note that you would be doing relief-based practices as well. But how this works is that, number one, when you are doing rehab, you are making technical improvements. That's the first thing. You're learning how to perform these movements, which means you are learning how to stabilize your spine better, which means you are learning how to protect your disc better, and that should be applied to activities of daily living. That can have quite remarkable effects quite quickly if you apply it to daily life. And so when you're doing that, you are decreasing the aggravation of your sciatica, the provocation of that herniated disc, with each passing day, because you're being more conscientious about how you're moving. So you're aggravating this less, so it can gather more momentum from a healing point of view. As you make progress on those same exercises, you're recruiting this musculature more coherently, but you're also challenging it later on in the program. And that builds more strength around here, which creates more resilience and protection for this area, so it can continue to go through that healing process. And then later on in the program, as you're adding load through these exercises and progressively more load at the right level, you will actually strengthen up these discs and the surrounding structures again. So that's how it works